I would take an easy way getting into the bus technology and advanced diagnostics, which makes life easier for the process industry people or any industry people for that matter. If you look at the automation structures, the way things have moved, you look at the multiple wires going to the various field devices, which is the fact of many of the process industries today, and many of the power plants also for that matter. So what the bus technology 20 years back did was to get everything together on single pair of communication bus. Thampi added few things on the process part, but I would like to take you an extended view of the bus technology on both factory automation as well as the process automation. Yes, foundation field bus could be popular on the process automation side, but there is vast field on the factory automation where the chunk of data for large size of packets has to move from the field devices, from the drives, from the MCCs today to the control system. And that all happens on a single pair of cable. Of course, redundancy can be achieved, redundancy is available, intelligent devices, intelligent sensors in the field. So all that makes life easier for the people who use these particular systems, especially the guys in maintenance and operations. It only never stops there. Now as someone from ARC pointed out earlier, the information is required on the Android, on your mobile phone. That means your information has to come to the IT level. So from the field sensor level to the cell level to the control systems and now onto the MIS, that is the IT platform. So the same structure, if the same technology is available to you to use, there is no obsolescence at all. That means if you learn something on the Profibus technology, that's a technology which is 20 years old. Profinet is a technology which is pumped in from Profibus on an RS-485 cable to an Ethernet cable. So you have an IS, you have an IT structure which is also on the same technology, but with a higher speed. And obviously, I'm going to take you through some of the diagnostic features of this technology, which helps really the operators and the plant maintenance people to make their life simpler. They don't have to get calls at 2 o'clock in the night to run around in the plant to take care of the systems. If you look at the structure which existed and which exists also in many of the plants today is this. That means from your field devices, junction boxes, multi-core cables, then you have if there are zone 1, zone 2 separators, then marshalling cabinet and this. Whereas the bus technology has moved from a multi-core cable, multiple cables into a single cable, which makes life easier. That means design people save the time of design engineering. The buyers will have to buy less cables, less cable tray supports, less cable trays, less cable tray supports, and less installation costs. Plus, inside the control room, you have a couple of pair of cables coming in rather than chunk of these cables which are coming in earlier. So you need lesser space in the cabinets. That's the advantage of the field bus technology. So as I said, design, ease and reduction in design, engineering, cabling, cable support I said, and also the maintenance. And as the devices are getting smarter and smarter, more and more information is available inside the device itself. Thampi talked of the control in the field, provided you use it. If you use it, it's a good feature, but if you don't use it, then so it's better to use the technologies which is available. So it's better to use the technology rather than just to have it. So what is Profibus? I will define Profibus in English. It's ISC 6115 says it's a digital data communication for measurement and control systems, and it's the fastest non-Ethernet. Ethernet is fastest, there's no doubt about it. But Profibus is the fastest non-Ethernet communication bus from the process automation, factory automation, building automation, and capable to work from the field, that is actuator sensor level, to the information systems. There's a single technology. There are two versions of variations, Profibus DP, the distributed periphery, which is the trunk for the Profibus technology. And for Profibus process automation, we have Profibus PA. Why Profibus is popular? Because it is evolutionary in terms of the speed. It started with 9600 baud. It is at 12 Mbps today. As I said, fastest, non-Ethernet. 12 Mbps is the fastest communication on the digital communication data. Versions started with V0, today we have V2, but there's no obsolescence. A device of 1982, which is on DPV0, can still work with a master of DPV0 or V1 or V2 today. So there's no obsolescence of the technology. It is prevented. Applications, you name the applications, then application profile or application example will be available in the Profibus website. You can get the information what you want. Suppose you have an application which is similar to yours, you can simply adapt that technology, adapt that application, and put it across into your application. Profiles, as I said, 2 profiles we talked about, DPA and PA. I'll talk about some more profiles on the motion and drive, that is for the VFDs, for safety, ProfiSafe, and now Profi Energy, which is emerging, which is to shut off the part of the plant when it's not in use. For automotive manufacturing factory, if during the change of the shift, lunch breaks or weekend holidays, you can shut off the major electrical power consuming devices from the bus and put them on when you really want them. So you save energy. Almost 60 to 70% of the energy can be saved if this profile is implemented popularly. Why we say it's an undisputed leader? Because of the cost of the installations, large number of installations. Over 35 million nodes have been installed on Profibus. So it's a highly popular network. Because there are multiple vendors, more than 1,700 vendors on Profibus Technology who manufacture the devices, there is stiff competition, the costs are controlled. Not only that, Profibus International is a non-profit organization, and I represent the Indian Profibus Association in India. There are 27 such regional associations across the globe in various countries or a couple of countries put together in continents and stuff like that. I am also a competence center in India. UL Group is a competence center in India for Profibus. So there are such 45 competence centers worldwide. That means a support is available to you next door within your country to support you when you need them. There are guidelines which have been defined by the Profibus International working groups to test a device. Or when a device is to be designed, the guidelines are decided by the multiple vendors working groups. So it is not a vendor specific. It is multiple vendor neutral developments. And there are 11 laboratories which test the Profibus devices before they are certified and brought out in the market. A simple way to check if the Profibus device is approved or tested or no. There is always a GSD file for a Profibus device, and there's always an ident number in the GSD file. So if you get a Profibus device, look for a GSD file, look for the ident number. If there is no ident number, that means the device is not certified. So Profibus has made it so simple for the users to use them because the GSD file gives the information, and without the GSD file, you cannot use the device. So obviously, they are connected together. As I said, the device which is installed in 1982 can be used today, so protection of the investment. There's no obsolescence on the Profibus technology. Methods of diagnostics and error are inbuilt into the protocol itself. I'm going to take you through some of those guidelines, some of those things as in the next couple of slides. And the test labs have been controlled by the Profibus International working groups, the test procedures. Multiple vendors' devices, masters, test the new slave device. One slave device is tested on multiple vendors, so the multiple vendor masters are tested together. So there is no problem when it goes to the field. Procedures always have been defined. And as I said, PICCs are available across the globe. So why Profibus is a leader? Because its presence in factory automation, process automation through Profibus PA, of course, and building automation, or any specific application that you talk about is there. These numbers are slightly old. It's last year old number, 34 million nodes. And as I said, Profinet is an Ethernet version of the Profibus technology. Same deterministic technology which is available to the user. So it's like, partnering with Profibus is like partnering with leader of the technology. The PICC ensures that the training courses are held wherever the PICCs exist. The protocol development support, we support BHEL also to develop the Profibus protocol. We support many customers here in India to develop the Profibus protocol within the devices. And we develop ourselves for many customers in the country. The diagnostics tools and services also provided by the Profibus competence centers. Certification, as I said, and promoting Profibus in such forums as a non-profit organization is the work of the PICCs. Now, coming to the diagnostic features and taking you through some of the diagnostics which are available on the Profibus, Let me just touch briefly on the Profibus usage as per the customer requirement. It's a high-speed data for time-critical applications. As I said, 12 Mbps, so your speeds of the cycle time can be in few nanoseconds also. It is a segment of RS-485, so each segment can take about 32 devices. Beyond 32 devices, you can have a repeater, and one master can access up to 126 slaves. 126 slaves, 244 bytes in and out into 8. If you look at only the digital data that you want to take in, 244 into 8 into 126 is number of devices that you can access by one master, and at few nanoseconds cycle times also. Higher distances are possible with the Profibus by using repeaters or fiber optic converters, and one trunk can go up to 1.2 kilometers at a lower speed. As the speed goes up, the distance comes down because of the frequency. Slave configuration and parameterization is done by the master. When you connect the device, only the GST file is required. Extended diagnostics are available, that means by putting the diagnostic devices. Now, within the diagnostics, what are the common faults faced by the user and how they are addressed by the diagnostic methods? Termination issues, any cable, any physical layer has to be, RS-485 has to be terminated on both ends because to avoid the reflections. So, termination faults are the ones which are major problems. Media faults, that's the cable faults because there's a single cable running across, so you will have to take care of the cable. So you'll have to take care of the measurement of the parameters on the cable communication so that diagnostic information is available to you at the master level itself. Interference, obviously the power devices, the power cables have an electrostatic effect as well as electromagnetic effect on this communication, any communication cable for that matter. So how does the Profibus technology prevents in certain way, and how do the installation engineers take care of this, which is applicable to any field, any communication technology, any digital communication technology, and tripping of the networks. Now, any diagnostics information on the master, on any of the diagnostic devices, a live list, which Thampi also used earlier, a live list of the communicating devices are available and which is visible. Any visual indication is the best indication of the device. So if you look at the device, the color, you know that this particular device is in communication. If you see green in color, it's communication. If the color changes to yellow, that means the slave has lost the communication over the network. So visual indicators are the best indicators for any operator or for any maintenance person for that matter. If it is red in color, that means the error is different. Parameterization error, that means this has not been configured properly. So you need to look at the configuration parameters. This is an electrical signal in any case, a differential voltage signal. So you can measure the average voltage of each nodes by sitting in the control room. That means this information can be available in the control room itself. You look at the average voltage, and if there are certain issues related to the configuration error, you see a violet color. You can also see an as if you're carrying an oscilloscope to the field. Inside the control room, you could monitor the voltage levels. And if you see there are any problems in the network, the bar graph voltage level goes up. If there is termination issue, now there is a reflection of the signal which is coming. And if it's getting superimposed on the same electrical signal, you have an average voltage going up. So you know there are some problems on the network. You see the distortion of the waveforms on the network. And using these cursors, you can pinpoint and reach to the problem area, and I can, which I do every day as a business, as my business also, I can pinpoint and say 76.5 meters from the master, there is a cable short, or there is a cable open, or there is a cable shorted to shield cable. You know, such diagnostics can be done right sitting in the control room by usage of such diagnostic methods which are available on the technology. Cable issues. You can immediately see there are some short circuits somewhere and stuff like that, which by use of the oscillograms, you can reach at which node, between which nodes the cable has got into problem. So you can prevent this. And there are devices which can be connected online on the network all the times, and they can send you SMS messages. They can send you emails. They can send you the information on the internet, the information saying that this particular cable is deteriorating. You know, need to look at this cable. So such diagnostic information is available. Cable faults, of course, that's another way. One is a bar graph, and the second indicator is to oscillogram, by which you can reach where the cable fault is generated. Interference. The high current carrying conductor or a high voltage cable running parallel to the cable of the communication, you would see the interference effect. Again, you could use the cursors to move where the actual problem is from the master. The distance of the cable from the master can be seen on this part of the screen when you move the cursors active, and then you can see the information here. That means a layman also can look at the diagnostic information to reach to the problem. So many of the times it is said that when you go to the doctor, your disease disappears. Or when the doctor comes, when the engineer comes, the problem is not there. But you get the problem at middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the night. So there are devices which are available to find the troublemaker. You can set the triggers. Like your sequence of event recorder, you set a trigger on a particular signal, saying the trip. Before the trip, what happened? Several information. And after the trip, what happened? That means you know the root cause of the trip, which initiated the trip. Same thing is possible on these diagnostics also. You can record when the fault came and what type of fault came. You can select those, and you could catch when the error came in. At what time did the error come in, and who initiated, which slave device initiated the problem. You can catch that. And this can be recorded offline. That is online on the system when an engineer is not required. And he can see this data, or she can see this data when he's back, and then you can reach to the problem. You can identify, and this information is recorded. You could go back to the oscillograms and reach to the problem where it is, and then you can take care of the proper termination issues or the cable issues and stuff like that. Other information on the errors or diagnostics which is available, that which slaves have lost communication during the process, and how many retries each slave master had to do per slave is also recorded. After these retries, whether the station lost any communication, that information is also available to you. Illegal responses, that means if there are some faults, that means this again electrical signal. If the electrical signal has deteriorated, it is attributed as an illegal response, because the information is not coming digitized properly and not coming properly. So you can reach to these problems also. Data exchange size. We all talk about the high-speed networks and high-speed requirements and all, and size of the data which is being exchanged. But using these diagnostic methods, you can find out how much of the data is really being exchanged, and what is the time it is being exchanged, how fast or how slow the slave is responding, whether you really need to set the network at 12 Mbps speed or even 115 Mbps is still okay. Then you can go for a longer distances of the cable. So such informations are very helpful in design aspects as well as implementation and post-installation also. There is an extra diagnostic. Apart from all this, you can also request for an extra diagnostic bit information which can be obtained. This was all on the software part of the diagnostics which are available within the protocol itself. Now the technology has offering further on the media also. The connectors which are used on the Profibus technology have indications of the colors, blinking LEDs, which can say what is the problem on this particular device. If it is blinking with a certain speed, frequency, it's healthy in green. If the color changes, that means you have certain problems. So maintenance guy just has to walk across the plant and see if the frequency of the blinking is proper. And if there is an error, then he knows what the problem is. Then he can look at more deeper diagnostics further and get into the root of the problems. The Profibus International also has a website, profibus.com. In India, we have created profibusindia.com. A lot of information is available on this website too. And some of the information which is not available, it can be also linked to the profibus.com, and you get a lot of information. We have a lot of events that we do. We do road shows in various parts of the country. We also participate in the exhibitions, conferences that we do. Thanks to ARC for inviting me to be part of this particular conference also. Some of the members of the Profibus Association, we have taken an initiative to drive it through the education community. That means the institutional community also. So we spend a lot of time. You see, look at the memberships here. There are institutions which are members of this organization. What we're trying to promote here is that we want to shift the R&D to the institutions, because the newer generation which comes, or the teachers who teach to the students, their teaching techniques can change. They can adapt to the new technologies. They can get into and then teach the students. So the students who come out of the industry as engineers, which are required to the industry, they come as ready engineers with the technology. So we have any developments which is going on from the industry, we involve the education institutes. In fact, next week I have a session because there's a request for one development on the Profibus. So I call all the teachers from the various institutions to be part of this particular presentation, where we will give the details to the institutions. Then it is for the institutions to decide how to go about and bid for this particular project and win this project for an industry. So such projects are undertaken by different institutions. In and around Pune just now we are supporting, but we are also going to Bombay, Delhi and other places also. The Profibus India website is also getting very popular. There are a lot of hits which are being, people are accessing the Profibus website very regularly. They're downloading the informations. There are FAQs which are available on the website, which you will know that if you want to adopt the Profibus technology, if you want to use, implement in your, before calling any expert, you can, do it yourself kind of stuff that is available on the Profibus website. There are more than 60 specification documents, 40 guidelines, flyers, which are available by Profibus website, profibus.com, and they're also available as a hard copy sellable products also. Thank you very much, ARC, and thank you very much for your patience hearing. I hope I did touch upon the points which the process industry or the automation industry looks for. Thank you very much.